All right, here we are.
Here we are.
Nice.
You know what? I should. You were talking about technology and how everybody, all the young kids, know all the technology. I think I'm right there with you.
And all this stuff.
I don't know anything.
Right over my head.
We're off to a strong start here, everybody. All right, Chuck. Listen.
Yes, sir.
Season starts Wednesday, June 5th. Mystic Schooners. You know what? I got here in 2005. I've known you forever, Chuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you grow up here? Did you grow up around here?
No, I grew up in Connecticut.
Okay.
In a small town called Naugatuck.
Now, how did you get here?
I came here in the summer of 1980 to play baseball in the Sunset League.
Huh.
I was a college pitcher down at Eckerd College, and one of my teammates was Ron Westmoreland, and I was looking for a summer team to go play on. I couldn't get into the Cape that summer, so I wanted to do something different than going back to Connecticut, so he offered me a spot to come to Newport, Rhode Island, and I had never even I never knew Newport. So I found a way to get down here, and I pitched in the Sunset League that summer, 1980. I haven't left since.
You know what? I got here in 2005. Haven't left. This place has a way of just sucking you in and never letting you out. So you were the commissioner of the Sunset League.
I was the president.
Right. So and then because of that, is that how you got the general manager job for the Gulls in 2001?
Well, I probably had something to do with my relationship with the Sunset League and running that league. What happened was the commissioner of the NECBL came to Newport to meet with Mayor Sardella, with the owner of the team, Joe Strong, and they wanted to bring a team to Newport, and Mayor Sardella said, yeah, we'd be interested in having your team come to Newport, and they asked who they should look for baseball-wise to help them run this team and so on, and Mayor Sardella mentioned me. So they called me up and they asked me to go to lunch with them, and they offered me the position sitting in Mudville Pub in November.
Really?
Yeah, and they said they're going to come to Newport. So in November we had to start building a team and build an organization from scratch to be ready for a season in June. So it's not a lot of time, but we pulled it off, and here we are today.
Pulled it off. You won the title.
Yeah, we won the title.
Did you? Was that obviously it wasn't lightning a bottle because you won it the next year too? And was it you put together a team good enough to win the league in that first year?
Yeah, and I got a little help from Carmen Carcone, who was experienced at that, and we brought back a couple of his players. But we just started turning over stones and telling people, we have a team here now in Newport, and one opportunity was the next, and we happened to have some good players, and it worked out.
Chris has been your right-hand man. Chris Patzos, he is the assistant general manager, vice president. I don't know,
The reality is this team is run by, we got two heads, and it's Chris and I.
Right, but you guys have been doing this for 19 years. I mean, how do you coexist with a guy for 19 years?
Well, we have a lot of respect for each other's baseball knowledge. Chris is a very knowledgeable baseball guy, and he's got a lot of common sense. And we also work together in our real lives. So we've been friends. He also played for me in the Sunset League for probably 10 years. Mm-hmm. So we go back. We also played against each other in college. He played at Florida Southern, and I played at Eckerd. So we have a long history.
Right.
And running this baseball team, especially having the success early, has been fun. So, and the best part of this is, Chris has his own opinion about things and I have mine. And most of the time, especially with players, if we don't agree, we can't take them. So if I like a guy and he doesn't, we move on. If he likes a guy and I don't like him, we move on. We have to both like him in order to take him.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever? You've never dug your heels in?
Yeah, I've tried. I did one time, and so here's an example of it. I have to remember this now. Probably 2004. It was we had a kid from Tulane that wanted to come here, Wes Swackheimer, right?
Yeah.
Big lefty hitter, drafted out of high school, and I was like, yeah, I like him. But there was another kid at Temple who had a really good year. And I heard he was kind of a tough kid looking for an opportunity. So I liked him. Chris liked Wes. So I pulled a little let's go with the Temple kid.
Yeah.
Well, It always happens. Danbury, Wes Wackhammer goes to Danbury.
Right.
Danbury comes into town, bottom of the 9th inning, down by 2 runs. The kid hits a 3-run homer, walk off. They leave and beat us.
Yeah.
Patsos looks at me and goes, yeah. So I never lived that down.
Yeah.
I never lived that
They
down.
got it wasn't off the Temple kid.
And that's happened a lot of times, quite frankly, where, maybe he likes somebody and I don't. But other than that, it makes us competitive.
Do you guys have a philosophy on how to build a team? Do you start, we say, okay, let's get pitchers, we'll fill in the offense, we'll fill in the defense, we'll work on team chemistry, or how do you do that?
All those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those things. You have to. You build your team around the positions, of course. You got to have pitching, and pitching wins games. So you start there as well as any of the position guys. And it just happens to be the first guy you find that you really like for a certain position, you take them. And then so if you take a shortstop on your first pick or your first effort, you probably got to find another one. So over time, if you take another one, now you got to find, now I'm looking for a first baseman, a catcher, and so on. So you do that due diligence around the country. You go through all the different leads and all the different recruits and so on. And we get inundated now, Scott.
Right.
In the early days, we had to turn over stones. We had to make the calls. Now it's the opposite.
Well, how is Twitter and everything, where kids are putting up and teams are putting up video. You can watch a guy, on the bazillion channels that you have, the SEC network, the Big Ten network, all these networks, Twitter, social media. Has it just made because you would take West Coast trips to go look at guys at the Pac-10. Now, do you still need to do that?
No, I don't. And I don't always rely on the videos either. It really comes down to, for me, relationships and trust. And for Chris, he has a set of people that he really works with, and I have a set of people around the country that I've worked with. And what we do together is reach out to those contacts and the people that we trust.
Yep.
The people over the years who've always given us good kids, and we know that when we get their kid, he's going to be a good baseball player and have good character and be able to live here in Newport. So, it's based on a trust factor today. For instance, the Newport Gulls have evolved. So we don't get calls from the placement recorder or recruiter anymore, the guy who does summer placement for their college teams. Chris and I get called by the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Corbin at Vanderbilt is the guy that calls me.
Yeah.
It's not the assistant coaches who do the placement because they want to influence us to take their kid. And if it's coming from the head coach, it's hard to say no. But we've learned to say no. So Tim Corbin will call me. John Savage from UCLA will call me, and he calls me regularly. Josh Holliday at Oklahoma State will call me regularly. Mulvey down in Villanova called me today 3 times. All these head coaches constantly are calling us. Backage at Michigan, Boss at Michigan State today. I spoke to Hubbs at USC today. I spoke to Marquez at Stanford today. So we speak to the head coaches because they want to influence us enough to get their kid here.
Is it getting watered down? You got the Futures League. There seems to be leagues cropping up all over the country. So, is mostly every college kid playing summertime baseball somewhere all over the country?
Pretty much. And there has been an evolution of summer collegiate baseball. It really has grown all over the place. But there's still the pockets of organizations that will always get the best kids first. And let's start with the Cape Cod League. The Cape Cod League is always going to get the best kids.
Yep.
Everybody wants to go to the Cape. However, they can only take so many kids. The next league in the country, we were just ranked number 2, right behind the Cape.
Sure.
So we compete, and especially the Newport Gulls, we compete for the same players that the Cape competes for. Often a coach will say to me, hey, listen, this kid should be playing in the Cape, but I believe he should be pitching with you because he'll develop better with you than if he goes to the Cape, and then he can go to the Cape next year. So we are competitive in that regard, but yeah, we can compete with most teams in the summer collegiate baseball space. But to your point, yeah, there's so many teams. What happens is the process starts earlier. So it used to be where we would start in October and select a team, but now in July, the other leagues are starting to call to find players. And so now coaches call us and say, hey, listen, I got a call from the Futures League or the Hamptons League or the New York Collegiate League or the Perfect Game League and in this league and that league. And what are your needs, Chuck, before I start placing my kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
As everyone knows, the Paw Sox is, they're going to be moving for Worcester. Do you feel like that's something that the Gulls can capitalize on? I mean, is it a little bit of a boon for you down in Newport where, people can spend $5 and have a great night out and watch some baseball that are, these are future major league guys who are coming here.
Yeah, I don't know how much people upstate really understand how good we are.
Right.
And what a great venue we play in and how inexpensive it is to bring your family to a Gulls game and sitting in Cardings Field. So I think we got to maybe if some of those fans start coming to Newport, then we might be able to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
How we get to them, I'm not sure if they're going to drive down here. We play at capacity sometimes, so I'm just not sure how much rollover we'll get from the Post Sox, at least this year. But maybe when they leave, it could change.
Right. Yeah. After they're gone,
once they're really gone and people start really
looking
for something to do, they want to go to a baseball game. Then maybe at that time we start really the year before they leave, start really pressing up north a marketing campaign.
Sure.
That targets that region up there to come down to Newport.
Right. I mean, I don't know what the plan is as far as, I don't know. I don't think that ballpark's going to sit empty, but, it seems like you would have a finite amount of time to try to get that marketing and get people, open their eyes to what's going on down here.
Yeah, I think we would find a way to do that, and we would do it not while they're here, of course, but when we know they're exiting, they're not coming back, that would be the appropriate time. We may end up with another NECBL team upstate in Rhode Island, not in Pawtucket, but somewhere else.
Well,
that might help reach that market space.
The league just continues to grow and grow, it seems. Let's talk about the team. Look, the last 2 years have been disappointing.
Yeah,
I think that's easy to say that. Was it unrealistic to think that you guys could just keep that level of success going in a sport where, in a league where there's turnover, full turnover almost every year? I mean, was that unrealistic to think that you could keep doing that?
No, I don't think so. I think, honestly, the teams we put together here should win. They should win. The environment's changing. Summer college baseball is changing. What's happening today is like 10 years ago, Scott, if we lost one player before the season started, it was like, holy cow, why is that kid not coming?
Yeah.
Last year, we lost 13 kids before June 1 that we signed back in the fall. So now you're going to find new players in May that are the same caliber as the kids we've lost. And for the most part, you can you fill those spots, and you find the best players, and you find really good players. But I'd say the last 2 years were more related to circumstances than the talent we had on the field.
Sure.
For instance, 2017, for an example, that team was really talented, Scott. But I think 19 of those kids went to the NCAA regional. Of those 19, 15 went to the super regional. Of those 15, 13 went to the World Series.
Yeah, so you're starting the season.
So 12 of those kids, 9 of those kids didn't show up in Newport until after June 21st, till July 2nd. That's the range when they started filtering in. So for the first 3 weeks, we played with 10 players. We had a second baseman at Rhode Island College. We had a shortstop from URI, and we had a third baseman from Curry.
Yeah.
So we weren't the same team that we had on roster, but 3 weeks, it was hard to recover. And when our players got here, they had come from a 60-game schedule, the grind of the regional, the grind of the super regional, then a World Series, a little bit anticlimactic to get to Newport and play summer ball.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, though, when you think about it, because you want guys from Vanderbilt, you want guys from Oklahoma State, you want guys from UCLA.
That's right.
But they're all very successful programs.
You want major league prospects.
Right. And, but at the same time, they could be gone regional, super regionals, World Series, and they never get here.
Yeah. So we go through that year in particular. Coach Leiva didn't have the weapons that he needed, and that team didn't respond quickly. When they were fully together in the first part of July, I thought they would take off.
Yeah.
And it took them a while. I saw a few players that, to me, looked like they were tired. I wasn't sure if they wanted to be here. I think that it was for some of the freshmen who had been away from home for a long time and at the College World Series, they kind of felt like, well, I don't know if I need to be doing this and playing summer baseball.
Yeah.
So it took a while for that team to get going. And then once that team kind of were eliminated from the playoffs, they just started playing the way I expected.
Well, you missed it by a game, right? Was it one game or was it
much,
two?
Yeah, but I started traveling with them the last 2 weeks. I needed to see what was going on.
Yeah.
And that team had so much talent. They won 10 in a row very easily
right.
The last part of the season. And every game I thought, this team is so much better than the other team. So that happens. But let me talk about it last year, because we made a conscientious effort to be careful not to take too many kids from those programs.
Right.
So we did have a pretty good team to start the season, and Coach Coombs came back, and he had a good start because we had a lot of that roster here. However, again, in July, around July 7th, we lost 10 guys. You lost the middle of your lineup.
For just
different reasons. One guy had a back problem. Another guy had the Arizona State kid, one of our best players, had a back problem. The Kentucky kid, our best power hitter, had a back problem. A couple of kids went home for hip injuries or something else.
Yeah.
We lost 10 guys.
Right.
So it's hard to lose that and still be the team that you're expected to be.
Yeah.
We lost in that last game of the season last year, to go to the playoffs.
Kevin went around. I met him summer 2002. He was the very first coach of the very first season of the North Adams Steeplecats.
Yep.
I was at the North Adams Transcript at the time. That was my introduction to NECBL baseball. This guy's a lifer. This guy's an NECBL. When I heard you guys were hiring him as your manager, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is, whatever it is, 16 years later. So he's the guy that you're putting your trust in. He's going to turn this thing around?
Yeah, Kevin Winterroad, like you said, is a very experienced manager in this league. He's managed multiple teams.
Yep.
He's also coached with us. In 2010, he was our pitching coach.
Yep.
And we had a very good team then. I think had Mark Appel on it, first player taken in the whole draft.
Yep.
We had a kid from Virginia taken in the second round. We had Bucciferro from Michigan State in the third round. We had a bunch of early round pitchers. They were all really good. And Kevin Winterroad did a pretty good job with that staff. What stands out with me about Kevin is he had back surgery after he left us and he couldn't coach. But then when he got back into it, he went up to Keene. Coached the Keene Swamp Bats in 2013.
13? That was 13.
Okay. So I'm watching Keene, and they're struggling the first part of the year. They're like 2-12. And I felt bad for them up there because they got a great program. And then somewhere over the course of the next month and a half, Kevin Winterroad and his team went on a run. They went like 23-2. And so now we're playing them in the finals here in Newport. And I think we have the better team. And we won game one. And Brett Graves threw a gem. And he's in the big leagues now.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, we're going to win another one. We're going to win another one. This team is on a roll. We had all the talent. And the next guy, Sean Harnett, up there pitched, and he pitched okay. We lost, but we came back down for game 3 in Newport. And I'm like, we're home in Newport, game 3.
Place is jamming. I was
jamming.
There.
Hard to beat us.
Yeah.
Hard to beat us at home.
Yeah.
But Kevin did such a masterful job of managing his staff and his team that day and kept them motivated. And they beat us at home 5-2 for the championship.
Yeah.
Always stuck with me.
Right.
And his moves during the game were timely, and he didn't hesitate. And, when he saw there was a momentum potential change, he brought a nasty lefty from St. John's, shut us down. And then he saw that maybe we were making some adjustments. He brought in the lefty from Virginia that shut us down. He just made good moves, and he managed that game so well. And then he came back to Newport and managed with coached with Coombs for 3 years. Yep. So he just kind of inherited this position,
sure.
But he also earned it because he's a winner.
Yeah.
He's a winner.
Yeah. You know what? First of all, most impressive player you've seen out of your time is Kyle, maybe.
Kyle is
Kyle Hankard for everyone. MVP 2005.
2005. We've had quite a few MVPs, by the way.
Jim Murphy was an
one.
MVP.
Yeah.
He was out of Washington State.
Yeah, in 2006.
Right.
He was the MVP. And he made it to AAA with the Phillies, but he was playing behind Ryan Howard. It was tough to get up to the big leagues behind Ryan. He was an all-star AAA, but he just kept knocking on the door, and he said, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So he's retired. But anyway, a lot of really good players we've had. You know that.
Right.
And we have 16 in the major leagues. So pitching-wise, we've had some great ones, and not all of them made it to the big leagues. The ones, some of them you expect and some of them you don't expect.
Well, Appel never really got to the.
Appel never made it to the major leagues.
He just retired at 27 or something like that.
Yeah, he retired. He got all his money and he retired. But I'll tell you, without disrespecting any of these kids, and because I really don't like to go out there and say, this guy was better than somebody else. But we've had some really good kids. I mean, look at in the last 2 years now. Let's talk about the two teams that didn't make it to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
2017, that young team I told you about. On that team, in this year's draft, there's probably going to be 3 first-rounders.
Wow. The
best player in the country right now is J.J. Bleday at Vanderbilt.
Yep.
He's got 22 home runs. He's hitting 380.
Wow.
In
the
SEC.
Stats, yeah.
And his teammate, Drake Fellows, he's 10-0 in the SEC. He's going to go very high in the draft. And another kid that played and lived at my house, Cameron Meisner from Missouri, who was the batting title that year.
Yep.
Perhaps the all-around overall best player we've ever had.
Yeah.
In my opinion. The kid is multi-talented, not only physically, his IQ is really strong, his speed is strong. He's 6'4", 230 pounds. But he's stealing 20 bags a year at Missouri. He's a pretty special kid, and quite a few other kids have come here. Tommy Edmund was a really great player in 2014. He's knocking on the major league door right now. Greg Garcia, 2009, was just an average player with us from Hawaii. He's in the big leagues. He's in a 5-year career now.
Well, then when you turn on the Red Sox game and see Chris Iannetta.
Yeah, you got Chris Iannetta still there after all these years.
He's been in the bigs for 10 years? I'd say.
No, like 14 now.
Really? Yeah.
It's been a while.
I went up to Fenway to go interview him in 2007.
Yeah.
And he was with the Rockies then.
I went to see him in Seattle a couple of years ago, and I saw Danny Otero in Seattle this year.
Yep.
But anyway, going back to the best player, Cameron is going to be pretty special. JJ is going to be special. These are first-round picks. They're going to get millions of dollars in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
And today, for an example, like my phone right now is ringing from all the executives of major league teams. They want to know about our players for the draft. And Cody Hose from last year, last year's kid, right? He's leading the country in home runs right now. He's got 23 home runs. He's hitting 405, and he's got 20 doubles. So every major league team is calling me saying, he's a surprise of the draft. He's going to go in the first round.
Yeah.
He was taken in the 34th round last year, just as a token.
So he's a senior now?
No, he was a sophomore, but draft eligible because he turned 21 before the draft.
Right.
So he was eligible. So they drafted him just to tease him a little bit.
Yeah.
Came here and he played. He didn't sign. Went back to Tulane. Has a monster year. Now he's going to get millions of dollars. The Mets called me today. I shouldn't be telling you that, but the Mets called me today, and
you heard it here.
Yeah, and they wanted to know. They all know how good these kids are. They want to know about Bleday, Meisner, and Hose. And they have the 12th pick in the draft. And they were on their war room today.
So one of these guys is going to
Yes. But they don't think JJ is going to be there by the time they get to him. He'll be gone in the first 12 picks.
Wow.
Cameron they're hopeful that Cameron's still around. And they really like Cody.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of talent we had here in the last couple of years. We just couldn't put it together. J.C. Flowers at Florida State, he'll go early. This pretty talented group of kids.
I like to hear you talk about it because there's a passion in your voice when, number one, your memory is off the charts. You remember numbers, you remember teams, you remember guys, you remember years. So my question is, how long do you envision yourself doing this? All your kids are either off to college or out of college.
Yeah, my kids are done with school now.
Right. So I mean,
that's all changed.
You're going to be, using your walker at Cardines to get around and still making phone calls on your futuristic phone in 25 years?
I don't know. Scotty, I think about that from time to time. Running this baseball team is a lot of work.
Sure. I mean, it's not getting any easier, I'm guessing.
It actually has for me, and that's where I'm going with this. Chris Patsos and I used to do most of the work, and with some support from the other guys, and then the interns that you get, and the support staff that you get, the volunteers. But we had to do everything, Chris and I, pretty much for a long time. But now we've got Mike Falcone.
Yep.
Mike Falcone has done a superb job, an excellent job, and quite frankly, he's changed my life.
Yeah.
Because he's given me an opportunity to run my business, and I don't really think about the Gulls too much because he does a fabulous job. So the pressure for me to step out is not as significant as it might be if I didn't have a guy like Mike.
Right.
Because I couldn't continue to do it at this pace for the next 5 years.
So what does Mike do? I mean, I know obviously he calls me all the time, tells me this, but I mean, he's got his plate full, I'm guessing.
He's overwhelmed. He's got to be, because he's director of baseball operations. He really wears a GM hat.
Yeah.
Except for the players and the coaches. Chris and I handle that.
Yep.
Almost everything else he does.
Yeah.
I mean, we help him. We have to help him with the items like insurance, league reporting, MLB reporting, things like that, with grants that we apply for or financial information. However, he does all the sponsorships, handles all the interns, does a great job with all that stuff, and just does the day-to-day operations, which we don't have to think about.
That's good.
And it gives Chris Patsos and I the opportunity to do what we love to do, build these baseball teams, put together a coaching staff and things like that. And it gives Mike an opportunity to run the baseball program. So it all works. And how long will we do this for? Who knows? Right now we enjoy it. One thing that we've never taken a penny from this team.
Yeah.
And most people.
You've said that over the years. That's what you've said.
We don't take a penny from the team. We've managed. We just don't want to lose money, and we don't want to take money out of our personal pockets to keep this team going.
Right. Everything you get goes back into
the community.
Goes back into it. Right.
So and to the team and the community. So that's our focus. So as long as we can continue that, and we don't, and the team could support itself and do great things like it does here on Aquinic Island, it's hard to leave. It's like a baby, and you've matured it, and it's an adult now, and it's a thriving adult, and it's hard to give it up.
You know what? 20th year next year. I know you got to get through your 19th, but you got anything special for 20 years in Newport where you're gonna?
Yes, we do.
What do you got?
Well, first of all, we got the All-Star game
for the 20th year.
Yeah,
great. And that'll be what, the third or fourth time?
The fourth time, every 5 years thereabouts.
Yep.
But it's the 20th year anniversary. We did it in 05, 010, 15, and now 20.
Great.
So we're excited to bring the All-Star game back here. It's where it should be. Everybody loves it when it's in Newport, especially the scouts who come here. They love to come to Newport, and it's easy. Cardines is an easy venue to see these players pretty close up.
Remember last time somebody took this great photo of all the radars. There were probably 15 guys just kind of.
Yeah, it's like 35.
Like in there, and and they're all have their guns out. And right.
It's impressive, and you get GMs here, you get cross checkers here, and then you get all the regional guys. But no, we're gonna have the All-Star game, and we'll start to develop a plan for the 2020 season. What do we want to do? I was thinking about this today, and often these thoughts come to me at random times, but we're going to invite back all the former players to come back
for a night. Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Whoever wants to come, whoever can make it, we're going to invite them back and have a Gulls reunion night.
That's great.
Gulls reunion 20th year celebration. And we'll bring guys back, the Hall of Famers. We'll bring major leaguers back here who are now not playing, guys who aren't playing and so on. But we'll invite everybody. And I'll guarantee you there'll be 50 plus Gulls out there that from different years who come back to Newport. Because what we have found is, and this is what amazes me the most, for the most part, every kid who's ever played here said it's the best summer they've ever had. Even the guys that went to the big leagues. I got an email today, a text message from Andrew Dashback 2 years ago, 2017, Stanford kid. He's put himself in a position for the draft. He's probably in the top 3 rounds. Yesterday, he hit 4 home runs in the game against UC Irvine. So I sent him a message today. I go, geez, Dash, you hit 4 home runs. And you position yourself for the draft. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud. You're a Gull, and you always wore our colors with pride and so on and so on. So he sends me a message back, and he says, still the best summer of my life. So that goes a long way with us.
Well, it really kind of goes into my, wrapping this thing up. You guys are looking for host families. And you've
always
told me over the years that this is a community team. It's a community project. It's a community group, and you need the community to kind of step forward. How important are host families? What do they get? Explain that a little bit. Just so anyone who's watching wants to be a host family, thinking about it, maybe over the years.
It's the single most important thing.
Right.
It really is. So, I always talk about this team. We have fans and volunteers and interns and people who support it, but the host family program is the foundation. It's how this house has been built. If we can't put these kids in homes that are going to take care of these kids, we don't have a team. And it's the single most important thing for their families. Imagine the kid out in California who's never been to the West Coast or from Oklahoma or wherever he's from, and the parents are wondering, where's my kid going for the summer? I'm a parent. I send my kid off to summer college baseball. I know it.
Yep.
So where's my kid going? Everybody wants to know where their kid is a safe environment, a good place for their kid to develop and will be taken care of. The coaches around the country who trust us with their kids and their top prospects want to make sure that our kids are taken care of. So the host family program is critical. Without it, we're not a team.
Right.
So, we've had so many families over the years take our kids. And a lot of them have multiple years, like 10, 12 years to hosting a kid, a long time. And some a few years. So every year we have attrition. It's normal.
Yeah.
And then you got to get new families to come in.
Yeah.
And my mistake is I try to do it myself. And I wait too late. Here it is May, Scott. Now I'm scrambling for host families. I should have been doing this back in February.
Right. You would think it's like one of the first things that you got to kind of knock off the list.
And I say that every year, Scott. Now here I am again. I'm scrambling because the kids are going to be in town June 2nd.
Yep.
And I'm short probably at least 5 host families.
Yeah.
So I've got to start scrambling. Hopefully we get some. I already got 4 new ones this year. And through different ways, I ran into somebody who I knew and they said they wanted to host. Somebody saw it on Facebook. Somebody saw it on in the paper or wherever they've seen it. So we are starting to reach out again, and we do need host families. It's a wonderful experience.
So they get season passes.
They get season passes.
If they get kids, they get to go to the camps.
They go to the kids. Their kids, if they have kids, go to our summer camps. Yep. They hang around with their player all the time.
Yep.
We have team events for our whole team, the host families and the players. We have a big barbecue at Kempenar's one day when all the players' families come into town, and the host families and our players get together. We do a couple of team events. It's just a special experience. I've had 20-something kids in my home over the last 19 years, and a lot of those kids are like sons today. We've gone to many weddings. We've gone to many weddings. We've birth announcements. The Gulls are special to us, and quite frankly, my daughter just got a big job, and it was because of a former Gull.
Oh, no way.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. what people, it's amazing some of the relationships and ties in life that this has produced. Nick Zamorelli was on our team. His was hosted by Tim and I forget her last name. I forget his wife's name at the moment. Carrie, Tim and Carrie. Well, anyway, their daughter graduated from college and had an internship up in Lincoln, Rhode Island. So they called their kid, and said, I'm looking for an apartment up there. I've got an internship. Can you help me find something? They said, you're not going to get an apartment. You're living in our house. So it was a reversal. This girl went up and lived with the whole player,
parents?
Family,
wow.
Until she got a job. But a lot of that kind of stuff happens, and it's really neat.
Yeah, you say that all the time. Yeah. If somebody wants to be a host family, how can they do that?
Well, I'm just
probably Mike.
Email me, gm@newportgulls.com. gm@newportgulls.com. It's a special program, a lot of fun. The relationships you build are lifetime, and hopefully we can get some more host families.
Great. All right. Sorry for the technical issues we had at the start, but honestly, Chuck,
thank you.
I love talking to you year in and year out.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. If anyone has any questions for Chuck, go ahead, fire away. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this thing up. We will be back next week. If you have any suggestions on who should be sitting in this chair right here, S. Barrett at newportri.com. Take care, guys.
Thank you.